That's the whole saving grace of the horror of our time, is that it opens the gates of liberation for everyone. And each of us, one by one, has to pass through. Nobody can force you or make you or lead you. You have to be your own leader. And so this is the initiation of humankind, to come out of the infancy of me and mine and into the adulthood of taking responsibility and true service. Because the true service is not something you should do. It's what you do because you love. It's because it's who you are.
Hello and welcome. I'm Sophia James and I'm joined today by Eli Jackson Bear. Eli is the founder of the Leela School of Awakening. He's the author of 7 books, a civil rights activist, and a former federal fugitive. Welcome, Eli.
Thank you, Sophia. How you doing?
I'm great. Really
Good.
good to see you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying your Substack articles.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah, you've recently started writing on Substack, your first time on social media.
Yeah.
Why now?
Well, because in promoting the school, I wanted to reach a larger audience, to have people know what's available here. And so I didn't know how to do that. And so someone suggested you should be on social media, which I've never done. Substack turns out is fun because I can just write what I want and have it flow out and have people respond. And so it's been really fun. I started it last September, so it's not yet a year.
Not yet a year. It's beautiful. Honestly, I'm really, really enjoying it. And we'll put a link down in the show notes so people can find that because there's so much shared there, so many articles. And I really loved your Revolution of Love series.
Uh,
It was just, I learned so much about history and really you covered the journey from several revolutionary movements, really from the French Revolution through China, Cuba, the 60s counterculture movement that you were a part of. And you write about essentially their eventual failures
yes,
and how all these revolutions failed. And you recognized a certain pattern with that and also spoke of the possibility of the revolution of love,
yes,
which is so beautiful, which is rooted in the realization of our true self. And
yes.
it's really, you've devoted your life to this, to sharing the message, the radical revolutionary message of heart to heart equality.
Uh,
It's so
yes,
beautiful. And that's why I'm here. And really, it's been a similar journey in some ways, you know, with waking up with psychedelics and then becoming an activist. You know, I was not as involved as you, but environmental activism was my thing. And then coming to the realization at some point that the true revolution was the one within.
yes. And
And
that's
so
the
I just
failure.
love to hear that in your words.
Well, that's the failure of all the other revolutions, is that they're all ego-based. So you can't force anybody to be enlightened. You can't force people to work for the common good. Everybody has to wake up one by one. And that's the challenge of our time, is you can't make it a law. You can't make it a rule. They tried, and that's what I was demonstrating in those different essays, how the Cubans, with the best of intentions, set up the Isle of Youth to have no money, have no hierarchies, to have everybody equal and learn together, share together, grow their food together. And the ultimate failure of all of them, because you can't force people to wake up, and because the leadership wasn't awake. So all the revolutions have well-intentioned, sleepwalking people. Like Jefferson, idealist, what a brilliant genius, and a slaveholder. So the contradiction is built in, it's baked in. And so I uncover that in different ways, hopefully in ways that are unusual for people who haven't thought about it in the way I present these things.
Yeah, it's fascinating for me. I'm not that really know much about history. So it's been a learning, and it just makes sense. It just everything you write about just makes so much sense. And it reminds me of a quote from it's Einstein that I'm pretty sure it's sort of he's given the credit for this anyway, and it says
Right.
that you can't solve a problem from the same consciousness that created the problem.
I don't imagine he said that, but it's a good one.
I know it seems now that I say that, it
Yeah.
seems kind of odd, but
Yeah, you know.
it's been attributed to him. Who knows? But I love it because it's really what you're speaking about. It's like change, you know,
That's right.
just dressed
It's,
up in a different cloak, and it's not getting to the root. And
yes.
that's what you speak of. That's what your whole work is. That's what the Leela School's about. It's really getting to the root.
Yes. That's it. That's the whole saving grace of the horror of our time, is that it opens the gates of liberation for everyone. And each of us, one by one, has to pass through. Nobody can force you or make you or lead you. You have to be your own leader. And so this is the initiation of humankind to come out of the infancy of me and mine and into the adulthood of taking responsibility and true service. Because the true service is not something you should do. It's what you do because you love. It's because it's who you are. See, the great mystery that I see in myself is that I am fully active as a human being in a variety of different ways, from gardening to baking Italian pastries to, you know, to so many different, to writing my Substacks, to teaching, to going for walks with my partner, to going to the movies with my wife and best friend, a whole variety of activities. But they're all the same. It's all the same bliss. It's happiness. I do it because I'm happy and it makes me happy. So there's no shoulds involved. So people hear there's no shoulds and they think you just go crazy and you do whatever you want. But it's not about that. It's better than that. Because doing whatever you want is still the same old fantasies and desires playing out that start with pleasure and end with pain. So I do whatever I want, but it doesn't start with desire and it doesn't end with pain because it's integrity. You can't have true integrity until you know yourself. Everything else is conceptual.
Yes, it's really at the root. It's really like getting to the root of it. And that's
Yes,
awakening. It's awakening to the truth of ourselves as not separate from anything else. And then I love what you say, you have a full human life because there's no separation with
that's right.
form and this human that's here. And I think that's really important actually because there can be this real spiritual bypassing that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know there were people who would come to me as a teacher and they'd leave because I was political. So, if it's all empty and it's all one, how could you be involved politically? But that's missing the point. That's missing the essence. It's inseparable.
Mm, mm, mm. And it really is like a hero's journey, isn't it?
It is.
How you talked about that, what's possible, in our time. And
Yes.
it is full of possibility, even though it is heartbreaking. There's just so many things happening all over.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
totally heartbreaking on a human level, just to bear witness to the horrors.
Yes.
And
and not to use it to go down into the horrors, but to use it as an inspiration, to see the suffering and be resolved in your heart to not add to it.
Yeah.
And so the hero's journey is really one of the essays, and it's exactly what we're all presented with now. It's the chance, wherever you are in the midst of your life, to suddenly take the test of what you live for and what you die for, the test of where you've committed yourself. Most people are so dug into their security and to their story of my family, my work, my life, that there's no chance unless you're willing to see through the story, to see that it doesn't bring you fulfillment. Being a good person is beautiful, better than being a bad person. Being a good mother, very important. Don't be a bad mother. Don't hang out in the bar, go to yoga, but ultimately that won't touch anything. It makes you a better human being, but not an awake human being. So one of the things my brilliant teacher said is that the Buddha, Four Noble Truths, is really there's only three noble truths. The first one is life is suffering. That's a noble truth. The second one is it's possible to end suffering. That's a noble truth. The third one is fear and desire are the root of suffering. That's a noble truth. The fourth one is right action, the Eightfold Path. And the Eightfold Path is right action, right eating, right meditating, right thinking, right talking, blah, blah, blah. And what he said is those are practices, and those would appear after you've realized the end of suffering. Then quite naturally you have right speech and right practice and right meditation. It's an after effect. But if you chase it through a practitioner, you never find it. Because there's always somebody practicing to get there. And that never works.
Mm. Yes, and I mean, not everybody wants to. Not everybody
That's right.
obviously wants to
Wake up.
wake up.
Well,
It's either working for them or
that's right.
they just there's just not a possibility for them. And I've in a way been wrestling with this because your last article, I think it was about trance, your new series on trance and
Mm-hmm.
language, and it's
Did you like those?
great. It's just mind-blowing to me. It all makes so much sense, It's like you're just writing exactly how I would express something if I had those words. It's just really beautiful and clear. And there was a quote, I think, somewhere in one of those articles about the war, ending the war if you're still at war with yourself, that's anyway, it was about ending the war with yourself, with your own suffering, because it's easy to look outside and there's wars outside and feel helpless, but to really the opportunity is to look within. But I also feel like there's something there that can be, maybe it's not enough just to be like, okay, yeah, yeah, end the war within, I'll end my own suffering, because there can be something inherently selfish about that as well, where it becomes part of the same thing of me,
That's
me
right.
and my suffering and my life and, my happiness.
Yes.
Not
But
that.
but ultimately that's where it all starts because it's only the ego that is suffering that wants to return home. And so it starts out with me and my suffering and my world and what doesn't work and what should be different. That's the natural progression is from there to the willingness to give everything, to find the truth, to find the end of suffering. But see, if you're only going for the relieving of symptoms, which is what most people want. Most people, when you say, what do you want? I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be angry. I want to be... They know what they don't want. But people don't know what they really want because they haven't examined themselves deeply enough. Because you have your cultural wants, you have your family wants, you have your genetic wants. but there's deeper than that. And when you go deeper than your family or your genetics or your personality, then you find what you really want. Then the game gets real. Then it's more about life and death. Once it's about life and death, then you know you're close to something real.
Hmm. Yes, and I feel what I've been wrestling with in some way with the horror that's outside is there are things that people do that I just don't have that in me. I've really looked, I've really investigated, do I have that? Where am I at war? I really wanted to really go all the way in with my own suffering. And there's things that I just can't almost comprehend, like cruelty and torture and things that people do to other humans and animals. And I really wrestle with that.
It's all done to be happy.
See, that's what I can't get my head around. I love this possibility of the revolution of love, of
Yes,
waking up from the trance of separation and living in
yes,
harmony.
yes.
And yet, there are some of us here that just will never
That's
agree to
right.
that, will never.
That's right.
So that will always be here, right? Suffering will always be here.
That's right.
Mm. Okay. Mm.
I think it's the Tao Te Ching that says when everyone realizes a light as light, it's darkness. It's like there's always going to be light and dark. There's always going to be yin and yang. There's always going to be polarities. That's the nature of life.
Yes. I can feel there's sort of something in there that just wants to get rid of it all. I just
Sure.
want all of the suffering, not
Yes.
just here, but outside in the world, the
Well,
wars and
well, start where you are.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then what comes when you say that is really just such a deep love,
Yes.
like through
That's
the
it.
heartbreak, through the pain
Exactly.
is just this love and
Yes. So, and then there's nothing left to do.
yeah, and then we can feel it, right? Like we can feel the heartbreak, we can
Sure.
feel the despair of it all
Yes.
without identifying as a suffering somebody in that despair.
Yes.
Mm. Hmm. Mm. So beautiful. I love you talked about in the Revolution of Love series, you talked about the three stages of consciousness. And I
Right.
love this because I learned about this many years ago with the work of Rudolf Steiner. And I
Uh-huh.
know it's also transpersonal psychology is also sort of really birthed out of this vision as well. And Joseph Campbell talks about this, and it really comes back to this hero's journey, where you say that stage one is you belong to the village, you're not separate to the tribe. Your role, your culture, your relationships, identity is given, and meaning is shared.
Yes.
Which
So that
is,
first stage is beautiful. That's what people want to return to. This is when Rousseau starts the French Revolution with the French Enlightenment and the idea of the noble savage. This was Rousseau's major thing, is the noble savage. What he's really talking about were the Native Americans and this bliss state that they actually lived in of equality and independence and freedom and a society that was just so much more harmonious because everyone was woven into it. Everyone had a role, everyone had a harmony, and that harmony was intergenerational and it was sustained by the culture. But it's not awake. And so it's beautiful, but you can't go back to that. Because by the time of Descartes and Rousseau, the Western mind has already been fragmented out of that unity. It's individuated, which is necessary. A necessary stage is to be individuated enough so that you have the freedom of choice. Because when you're fully integrated in, and I see this with cultures where they're so integrated into their families and their culture and their society that they're not interested in waking up. They have something else. But when there's a fragmentation, when suddenly you're alone, you're alienated, you're isolated, that's the start of suffering, and it's also the key to liberation. So that's the second stage, the stage of egoic self-actualization, which eventually, self-actualization, you become disillusioned with the world. So maybe it starts with your religion, and you're brought up and you were trained to be a religious person, and one day you see through it. And you go, oh my God, there is no God like that. There is no, that world is made up. And it's a shattering and a disillusionment that leads to a wounding. That's the way in. And so you have to have enough of those disillusionment about your family, about the world, about your career, about all the things that you thought were going to save you. When they don't save you, you see through them. That's painful. It's depressing. That's why this world is filled with antidepressants. That's why people treat their depression. It's like depression is just not going all the way to despair, which is under depression. The despair under depression is at the root of every ego. It's the nature of suffering. It's knowing that it's hopeless, you're helpless, there's no one going to save you, it's never going to get right, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's intelligent investigation. That's why, suicide is a rational choice. I don't support it. I don't think anyone should do it. I think there are better ways, but I understand the logic of it. And so,
Natural.
yeah, it's natural. It's like, so instead of antidepressants, you kill yourself. But most people go for the antidepressants. But all that does is make you numb to yourself. The antidepressants make you numb to your pain, numb to the despair. But the despair is the way in. The despair is what we call the black hole. It's the dead, endless nothing that everyone is terrified of, the end of existence. But that's the way in. And when you go through there and you shed yourself, you shed your false identity, you're no longer a man or a woman, you're not a meat body, then you come out on the other side. And this is the hero's journey, as you said, Joseph Campbell. You come out on the other side, you're in heaven. And you get a gift, and you bring that gift back to the world. And that's then you're a transcendent. You've transcended your own individuality, and the individuality is the vehicle that carries the transcendence. So it's all integrated.
Yes, and then on the world stage, if we take that macro, we can see we're really in this personal stage, in this second stage of individuation and materialism and ego-driven
Yes,
me, and we can see where that's brought us, the environmental destruction and
yes,
you know, all of that, where we find ourselves now, really, and then the
yes,
possibility to really see that didn't work. It hasn't
yes,
worked, you know,
yes. This is,
suffering even
this is,
more now, and everybody's struggling. And I think people really are waking up to that because, it's getting more
yes,
real now. It used to just be only really third world countries that were affected, and we were still living the good life. And
yeah,
then now it's changed, I'm sure in the US you've got whatever's going on over there right now. And then here in Australia, it's, cost of living and people that were never touched by that before are feeling it. And it's
Yeah.
a possibility to then go to this next stage, this transpersonal, which is
Yes.
called, or the third stage,
Yes.
where you wake up out of it.
Yes.
And you can't return. I love how you say that. You can't return. We can't go back to a tribal way of living. We've already individuated.
That's
So
right.
then the individual is welcomed into this no separation,
And community,
individual and
then,
collective.
then community refashions itself on totally different relationships. So it's not about blood, it's about spirit. So you have a spiritual family. You have like-minded brothers and sisters. You have elders and children. But it has nothing to do with genetics.
Yes, same heart, same
Yes.
consciousness, same equality.
Yes. That's the possibility. That's the new revolution.
But it's like there is this doorway right now. And maybe there's always a doorway, and it just feels more
The gate,
pertinent or more.
well, one of my essays is about the gateway of liberation is always open. It's always been open. But now people are more aware of it because they're aware of their own mortality, they're aware of their own suffering, they're aware that the world has crashed and they don't know what to do. And when everything's going smoothly, it's easy to stay sleepwalking. But when there are all these explosions in the road, it gets your attention. You can't sleep as comfortably.
Yes, true. So what would you say to people who may be just tuning into this podcast and they've never seen you before, that don't know anything about the Leela School? What would you say to someone who's just finding this?
It's possible for you, directly, personally, to have a happy, fulfilled life. It's actually possible for you. And there's living proof of that. But what it takes is your willingness. There's no technique. There's no how do I do it. It's really just your willingness for what you really want. So it takes your own self-examination. And then everything's possible.
So beautiful, because I think that's such a key, is that we don't even know it's possible.
That's right. Exactly. My parents never knew it was possible. Your parents never knew it was
Mm.
possible.
Yeah, there's no examples.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all the spiritual people don't know it. I mean, I went through all the spiritual traditions, major ones that were around. No one ever said it's possible to wake up and be free right now. It was always you were practicing for your next life.
Yeah, that's what I really love about you. What you share is that this equality and this possibility for all of us, because it is our nature. So how could it not be possible?
Yes,
And maybe in the past, it was possible for the Buddha, it was possible for, Jesus or whoever these other enlightened masters that we've had walk the earth. But really, for all of us, even me,
yes,
that's mind-blowing.
it is. So thank you for your part.
Mm, such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli.